Good Monday morning, everyone. Welcome back to Weather on the Go, all your weather coverage. Winter does come back with a vengeance with heavy snow, severe weather, and very cold air towards the end of January. We'll also be tracking the long range pattern getting into the first few days of February in this video. If you guys are not subscribed to the YouTube channels, hit the subscribe button down below, guys. It's easy to do. You press one button, and again, you hit the notification bell to get all of my daily weather forecast updates on this channel. I cover North America, including Canada, the United States, the tropics, and everything in between. So hit that subscribe button down below, everyone, and the notification bell to get all of my daily weather forecast updates on this channel. It is very cold up into the Arctics here this morning. We're actually seeing temperatures 50, even 60 degrees below zero, or actual air temperatures up here into northern Canada and all the way up here into portions of the North Pole. We're talking about very cold temperatures here, well below zero, and the winter will be coming back with a vengeance going through the end of January because some of this cold air will be spilling southward, especially toward the final few days of January, getting into early February, that we will talk about later in this video, that definitely will be bringing more heavy snow and also an Arctic blast to parts of the United States going into the first couple of days in February. But again, a tale of two seasons today outside, with high temperatures to the south in those spring-like temperatures in the 60s and 70s across Texas, Oklahoma, much of the deep south here across the Gulf Coast. But to the north, we have those winter-like temperatures across southern Canada here, places like British Columbia, Alberta, Saskatchewan, Manitoba, and then getting across the northern plains here, temperatures there will be in the teens and lower 20s this afternoon. And then across the eastern seaboard, temperatures will be ranging from the 30s to the 50s out here from portions of New York City all the way down toward portions of South Carolina. But as we go through the day today here on Martin Luther King Day, we are going to be seeing more heavier rain start to break out with those warmer temperatures. We're going to have rainfall here up across the western Great Lakes and getting down through the mid-Mississippi Valley with this cold frontal boundary. And again, a couple of embedded thunderstorms are possible. Some snow on the backside, but not a lot of cold air to work with today. But we're also going to be watching another major storm system that will be the focal point for our next snowstorm across the middle of the country later this week, that will be taking shape across California, the desert Southwest, and the Four Corners region as we go into this afternoon. So breaking down the first system, we have the Gulf of Mexico open up for business here. We have lots of those precipitable water values, well over an inch here in the atmosphere across portions of these darker green and blue shaded colors. So lots of moisture here trailing up from the Gulf of Mexico all the way up to the Great Lakes here, and that's going to be providing the threat for heavier rain at times with arcing bands of showers and storms here across Wisconsin, southern Minnesota, portions of north central Illinois, and getting in towards portions of Indiana later on today around the noon time frame. Meanwhile, we have colder air on the northwestern side of this low here that is centered across western Iowa. We're going to be seeing those heavier snows breaking out across northern Minnesota and the eastern Dakotas here. And then that will continue through the better half of the afternoon toward that dinner time frame around 6 o'clock. Heavier snow filtering in toward the Twin Cities region, toward Minneapolis, St. Paul, getting back down here toward portions of northwestern Iowa and eastern South Dakota. But again, those heavier bands of rain will be pushing eastward. Places like Kalamazoo getting down here towards the Indianapolis region, Columbus, Ohio, and then the Detroit area will start to see heavier rain this evening. And then that will push its way off to the east towards the East Coast and the Mid-Atlantic with those rain showers Tuesday morning around 6 o'clock, and then those snow showers will be wrapping around the backside of this low with the colder air across southern Ontario, getting back into the Arrowhead of Minnesota here and perhaps far northern Wisconsin towards Tuesday morning. Looking at those rainfall amounts out there in these green and dark shaded blue colors, that is around a quarter to a half an inch of rain, locally higher amounts possible, especially if we can have a couple of thunderstorms roam the landscape across these areas. We also will have a few inches of snow on the backside of the system across Minnesota, getting into the eastern Dakotas, and then back up here into central and southern Ontario, Canada. We could be talking about a solid stripe of 1 to 3 inches of snow with isolated amounts near 4 inches here into eastern Dakotas and central portions of Minnesota going through the next 24 hours or so. But if you guys are still with me on the video, might as well hit that like button down below. It's that thumbs up button. it helps to get all of this weather information out to more and more people. So I definitely appreciate all of the likes out there. But going through this week, we are going to be watching another major system move in across the desert Southwest that's going to be wreaking havoc across places like Nevada, California, Utah, Arizona, and much of the Four Corners region. We already have winter weather advisories, if not winter storm warnings, hoisted for places like Arizona, Utah, Nevada, and the Sierra Nevadas back here into California. And that even extends farther east into western New Mexico as well, with those winter storm warnings in these pink shaded colors. And that does mean we're going to see more heavy snow start to take shape. And we even have winter storm watches already hoisted across northeastern Colorado, northwestern Kansas, and south central portions of Nebraska. That does promise a swath of significant snow as we get toward the middle of this week. And the reason for this, we have another significant trough, and this trough is going to be digging far south toward the Baja of California and northwestern Mexico. So this trough is going to be taking a cold air mass all the way south into the desert Southwest and producing some higher elevation snow through the day on Tuesday. That will continue through the day as well, getting into Wednesday, the 18th as well. And again, this system is going to be providing some severe weather as well on the southeastern side as we go through the day on Wednesday. But turning back to Tuesday here at the noon time frame, we got that system coming off the front range of the Rockies and the desert Southwest. Those higher elevation snows can be found across the Salt Lake City area, getting up here towards portions of Wyoming, western Colorado, and getting into those higher elevations of northern Arizona and northwestern New Mexico as well. But farther south here into southern New Mexico, West Texas, and northern Mexico, we'll be talking about more liquid rainfall here going through that noon time frame on Tuesday. Going into the opening stages of the week here on Wednesday, the 6 o'clock time frame in the morning, we're going to have some rainfall across the Arklatex, getting up into the Missouri Valley and East Texas here. Some of these could be producing some heavy rainfall, some frequent lightning, even some marginally severe weather as well. And then again, on the northwestern side of all of this, we're going to see an ice transition zone with some sleet, freezing rain across portions of the Central Plains, and then some heavier snow breaking out up here towards Lincoln, Nebraska, North Platte, getting back here into the Cheyenne, Wyoming area, and even near Denver as we get into Wednesday morning. And looking at that across the desert Southwest, it is going to be bringing more beneficial rain across portions of the Four Corners region and the Central Plains, where we desperately need that rainfall. Every little bit helps, and we could be seeing some decent 1-inch rainfall amounts across some of these areas going through the next 24 to 36 hours. Also, some decent heavier snow across those higher elevations near Denver, getting up into west central portions of Nebraska here. A solid swath of about 3 to 6 plus inches is likely going through the next 24 to 36 hours there. But as we go into Wednesday, we have that very strong warmth starting to push up farther to the north across the middle of the country, and we have that temperature battle zone taking place where we have those teens and 20s to the north, and we have those 60s and 70s down here into the Gulf Coast. And whenever you see that, that does mean a pretty powerful storm is on the way. And that's going to be reaching deep into the Gulf of Mexico and pushing all these dew points north into the 60s here across the Arklatex and the deep south. And that spells trouble for severe weather with a cold front moving through central and east Texas. That's going to be interacting with some of that cold, dry air and also that warm, moist air from the Gulf of Mexico. And we're going to be talking about marginal to slight risk for severe weather across the Arklatex here in east Texas, near Tyler, Texas, the Shreveport area, getting back here into portions of Jackson, Mississippi, Baton Rouge, Monroe, Louisiana, and just near and south of Little Rock. And this extends farther north and east towards Memphis, Tennessee as well, going through the day on Wednesday. And then going into Thursday, again, we still have that cold front out there, warmer temperatures across the southeast, colder temperatures across the northwest, and the clashes of the air masses will mean some big weather as we headed through the southeast, the Carolinas, back down through Georgia especially, and into northwest Florida with these 50 and 60 degree dew points with that cold front. There is at least a marginal threat for severe weather across Georgia, eastern Alabama, and northern Florida as we go through the day on Thursday. And again, looking at this on Wednesday, this is going to continue to push off to the east, and we're going to see that squall line moving east. And then as we go into the overnight hours into Thursday, that marginal threat for severe weather will be there. The heavier rainfall will be pushing up here farther to the north through Kentucky, Ohio, Pennsylvania, and much of the mid-Atlantic. And then the heavier swath of snow will be moving across the Midwest and the western Great Lakes, places like Minnesota, Minnesota, Wisconsin, the UP of Michigan, and as well as Iowa could be seeing a solid swath of very heavy snow overnight Wednesday into Thursday, and then that will continue to push east Thursday night. And then as we go in through the day on Friday, we'll start to see more snowfall across portions of interior New England, with still that I-95 corridor experiencing maybe a mixed bag of rain and snow going in towards that Friday noon time frame. And looking at the severe weather threat with this system, it's going to be pretty formidable here, with a strong mid-level jet rounding the base of this trough, creating the threat for damaging winds. We'll also have a fairly robust low-level jet coming out of the south-southwest, out of the Gulf of Mexico, in towards the deep south and the Tennessee Valley through the day on Wednesday, creating some of that rotation that you need for a few isolated tornadoes out there as we get into Wednesday afternoon and evening towards peak heating. And then as this moves eastward on Thursday, more damaging wind potential, at least down here into portions of Georgia, South Carolina, and North Florida, and eastern portions of Alabama, with that strong mid-level jet still rounding the base of that trough, but a little bit more of a displacement in the low-level jet farther to the north and east. It does take that tornado threat a little bit farther downward on the day on Thursday. So maybe in brief tornado, but more of a damaging wind threat as we go into Thursday if we have any severe weather by then. But looking here during the middle of the week, this is Thursday here, the 19th time frame, and we're going to be pulling in a lot of this colder air on the northwest side of this low pressure system through the Midwest and the middle of the country. That continues through the day on Friday across the Ohio Valley and the Northeast as well. And this is going to be providing us with a pretty solid swath of heavy snow across Nebraska, getting back into northeastern Colorado, all the way up here toward Des Moines, Prairie du Chien, Wisconsin, all the way up here and towards the Duluth area, getting into the Twin Cities, and up here into the UP of Michigan. And that even extends farther north and east in towards southeastern Canada. A solid swath here of about 6 to 12 inches of snow can be expected across most of Nebraska, getting into northwestern Iowa. More of a 3 to 6 inch snow event across southern Minnesota, eastern Iowa, much of Wisconsin, and the UP of Michigan. And then the same holds true, about 3 to 6 inches here across portions of Ontario and southern Quebec, Canada as well, going in towards that late week time frame. But as we get toward the very end of January, we're going to start to see a pattern flip-flop where we have colder temperatures across the desert southwest, the warmer temperatures here across the far eastern seaboard here. And then those colder air masses will start to dominate the rest of the country, especially the western two-thirds of the country, going through that Sunday, January 29th, and then the 30th and 31st time frame, I do think as well, with that warmer air pushing farther east here of the East Coast and again off of the United States during the end of January. And it's also going to be very active. So you put 2 and 2 together, more snow and cold is expected as we get toward the very end of January. We have the very active subtropical jet here going into that Tuesday, January 24th timeframe the following week here, and this is going to be providing us with an active traffic for heavy snowstorms potentially across the middle of the country going through the final week here in January. That continues all the way through that Friday, January 27th timeframe, with that very strong subtropical jet picking up that moisture from the eastern Pacific Ocean and the Gulf of Mexico. With that cold air in place, some heavier snow is likely across portions of the Midwest, the Ohio Valley here, the Central Plains, and then perhaps even the Northeast as we get through the end of January. This is also going to be pulling down with that active storm track, pulling down that snow line farther south, perhaps to the panhandle of Texas, Oklahoma, and Arkansas as well. And then that will be making a way for more snowfall across the Ohio Valley and Northeast, getting toward the first day or so of February. And as a closer view of this, again, some heavier snows can be expected across the Rockies, the Central and Northern Plains, the Midwest, the Ohio Valley, in the Northeast, and all of southern Canada getting in on this active storm track with the heavy snow out there going in toward the first day or so of February. This is also going to be pulling down some cold air as well. Getting into that Monday, January 30th time frame here in just a couple of weeks, we're going to be talking about some very cold air on the backside of these storm systems moving in initially across the northern plains and the upper Midwest, with those real cold temperatures farther north into northern Canada. But by the time we get to the final day of January, on Tuesday, January 31st, some of those negative high temperatures will start to reach southern Canada. Places like Saskatchewan, Alberta, getting into Manitoba here, and even southeastern Canada will be seeing high temperatures below zero. And then across the northern and central United States, we're going to be talking about temperatures in the single digits potentially for highs going toward the end of January. And that continues to move southward in a big way to start February on Wednesday, February 1st, with that polar vortex starting to emerge across southern and central Canada, with even colder times ahead, with that freezing line starting to move farther south toward the Gulf Coast and the Red River near Texas by that time frame. Well, thank you guys so much for watching. I definitely appreciate it. Remember to like the video down below, give it a thumbs up, leave any comments, questions, and concerns below. I'll get to those later on today. Subscribe to the YouTube channel if you're new, and hit the notification bell to get all of my daily weather forecast updates on this channel. Have a great rest of your Martin Luther King holiday, everybody, and I will see you all in the next video.